Hi guys, this is Ashley back with Loomfinity, and today I'm here to show you how to make Sneezy to add to the dwarf collection. In order to make him, you will need about 55 of a light colored brown. These were actually in the Rainbow Loom camo bag, so I pulled the brown out of those. You'll need about 30 of a dark colored brown, 45 skin tone bands, 50 red bands, 12 white bands, 18 of a dark blue for his shoes, and 2 black bands. You'll also need, if you have a single gold band, to wrap around the center of the belt. At the time that I made him, I didn't have one on me, so I didn't put that here, but if you've made any of the other elves, you know that we use that as the buckle. If you don't have gold, you could use silver or even yellow if you needed to. You'll also want to grab 2 white pony beads to use for the eyes, and if you do not have the pony beads, you can always go back and refer to some of my earlier tutorials like Donald Duck or Daisy Duck on how to make them without beads. And also a lot of the other designers have some older tutorials where they do not use beads either, so you could always revert to one of those tutorials on how to make just a standard set of eyes. So if you want to grab your supplies, we can go ahead and get started. The first portion that we are going to create today is going to be the hat, and again I'm using the lighter colored brown out of the camo bag from Rainbow Loom. If you don't have those specific brown, you just want to use a different colored brown and a darker brown than you would use on the pants. And we're going to start in the staggered configuration on the top left of the loom, and you're coming down the left hand side 8 times with single light brown bands. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to repeat that again on the right hand side with the single bands coming down 8 times. We're then going to bring it into the center with a long angle, so you're coming from the 9th peg on the left to the 11th center peg, so it's coming in at a long angle. And you're going to repeat that on the right hand side as well. And then we'll go ahead and just fill in the center pegs meeting down here at this V with single light brown bands. And then we're going to add one more band on the 3rd peg from the bottom on the center to the 2nd peg on the bottom. And then we're going to cap this off, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we'll go ahead and place our crossover bands. So starting on the 2nd peg down with a single light brown band, creating a triangle. And we're going to come down a total of 4 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next 2 are going to be the single half double, so you're going to create a triangle. When you come over to the left peg, you're going to twist around that peg and rehook the band only to the center peg. So you're creating a single triangle and then halving that off. And we're going to do that again on the next one. And then our next one will also be a single double, so taking a single band, double it over, and create your triangle. And on this last one, this will also be a single double. And on the last peg, what you want to do is you're actually going to make this into a diamond. So grabbing the bottom of the band, pull it down over the bottom peg so you have a diamond. Now that everything's in place, we can begin looping. So we're going to go in through the capping band, grabbing the single band and bringing that forward. Going through here, grabbing the first band and bringing that forward. Going back in and grabbing the next one. Mine goes over to the right, and my next one goes over and to the left. And now I'm just going to go ahead and loop each row straight up to the top. So here I'm going through the left hand side. Going back down, I'm going to go ahead and do the center row. Make sure when you get to the single half double that you're not going on the outside of that half double band, you're still going through the center. And then going back down and looping up on the right. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and remove it from the loom. So I'm going to grab a holding hook, going through the top, and just grabbing these three and then gently pulling it down and off the loom. And there is the top portion of his hat. The next thing that we're going to go ahead and create is going to be the beard, and we'll be using white bands for that. You're still in your staggered configuration, and you're going to come down the left side twice with single white bands. So that's 1 and 2. And then I'm coming in from the left third peg to the center fourth peg at an angle. And I'm going to repeat the steps on the right side as well. So single white twice. And then from the right third to the center fourth peg. And then we'll go ahead and fill in the center pegs. So from the first to the second with a single white, second to the third, and third to the fourth. And we're going to cap off this peg here, creating 3 loops. And then we're going to take a single white on the second peg down and create a triangle, and repeating that again on the third peg down with a triangle. Now that we have those in place, we can begin looping. So go through your capping band, grabbing the first single band and bringing that forward, and I'm just going to go ahead and loop straight up the center. Going back in, grabbing the next single, mine goes over to the right, and I'm just going to continue and loop that one straight up as well. And then going back in and to the left. And I'm going to go ahead and take a holding hook, going through the top sets of bands, and pull that down and off, just like that. The next piece I'm going to show you how to create is the arm. I have already created one of those, so I'll show you how to make one, and then you'll just need to pause the video to make a second one. We're starting on the top of the loom with red bands. I'm using double red bands, and I'm going to come down 3 times with the double red bands. I'm then going to take one of my dark brown colors on my hook and create 4 loops. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then taking 2 red bands, I'm going to go ahead and feed those 2 brown bands in place, and then placing this band from the 4th to the 5th peg. And then I'm going to bring it down with 2 more red bands. Now to create the hand, we'll be using skin tone bands. So on your hook, I'm going to take a single skin tone and create 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Taking another single skin tone, I'm going to double it and pull those bands in place and reclaim the other side. Taking another single skin tone, I'm going to double it and repeat that process again. And that's the first finger, so just push that back on your hook, and starting again, take a single, create 4 loops, single double, feed that onto another single double. And one more time, taking another single skin, creating my 4 loops, taking a single skin and doubling it. I'm going to pull those in place. And on this one, we're not going to add the next band because it simulates a thumb, so we want it a little shorter. So I'm going to take a single skin and double it and pull everything on, all 3 fingers onto that single double. And reclaim the other side and just straighten it out some. And we're going to use this at the base of the arm as the capping band. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and just loop straight up. So go in through the hand, grabbing only the bottom 2 red and bringing those forward. Lost my bands. It's a good thing that that was a single double. I'm going to grab my holding hook and just remove that from the loom. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second arm, and then we can continue on. The next one that I'm going to show you how to make is his little boot. And I've already made one, so I'm just going to show you how to make one and then just pause the video to make a second one. And to do that, we will be using the dark blue or navy blue bands. So starting on the top of the loom with a single navy blue band, we're going to single double, coming down from first to the second peg. Then switching over, we're going to take 3 dark blue bands from the second to the third peg. And for the next one, we'll be doing 4 dark blue bands from the third to the fourth peg. And we then want to cap this off, creating 3 loops. So 1, 2, and 3. Then go in, and you might want to hold your capping band down because you're working with 4 bands. The capping band does have a tendency to slide off the peg, and then just go ahead and loop straight up. And that is how you create the other shoe. So go ahead and pause the video, make another shoe, and then we can continue on. Okay, now that we have some of our attachment pieces, we can go ahead and begin working on the main portions of the body. We're going to start at the top of the loom. You want to use those same light brown that you used when you created the hat. And I will be using double bands unless I specify otherwise. So you're going to start at the top, taking 2 of the lighter brown bands coming from the first to second peg on the left row. And then the first to second on the center, and 2 more on the first to second on the right. Then taking 2 more of the lighter brown bands, you're going from the center second to the left second peg, and repeat that from the center second to the right second peg. And now we're going to switch over to our skin tone bands. We're going to come down the left hand side with 2 skin tone bands twice. Then we're going to come in at an angle to the center to create the chin, and repeat that on the right hand side. And then go ahead and fill in the center from the center second to the center third, center third to fourth, and center fourth to fifth. Now we want to go ahead and create the two attachment pieces that go on the side of his face, and in order to do that, you're going to take a single skin tone band on your hook and create 3 loops. Taking 2 skin tone bands, I'm going to feed that in place. And taking 2 more skin tone bands, I'm going to do that again, feed that one in place. I am then going to hook this bottom piece to the 4th peg down on the right, and then I want to grab my hook through the capping band and bring it up to the 3rd peg on the right, just like that. And we're going to repeat that again for the other side. So taking a single skin, creating my 3 loops, taking 2 skin tone bands and feeding those into place, 2 more bands, and then hooking this on the 4th peg on the right, going through my capping band and bringing that up to the 3rd peg on the right. Now we're going to go ahead and move down into the body, and we'll be moving over to the red bands for that. And you're going to start on the chin peg with 2 red bands, and I'm going from the center 5th diagonally back out, so we're not even going to create a neck on this dwarf, so it's coming straight out to the shoulder at an angle. I'm going to repeat that going out and to the right. I then want to come down the left hand side with 2 red bands 3 times. That's 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to repeat that on the right hand side as well. Then coming down off the chin peg again with 2 red bands. I'm coming down once. I then want to switch to 3 red bands. Doing 3 more red bands. And 3 more again. I then want to switch over to my darker brown, and I'm going to come down the left hand side twice with 2 of the dark brown bands. I'm going to repeat that on the right side. And I am then going to come down the center once with 2 more of those light brown bands. And then coming from this center peg, so it's the 4th peg from the bottom, I'm going to come at an angle to the 4th peg from the bottom on the left. So it's angle up. I'm going to do the same thing going this way. Then moving into the legs on the left, from the left 4th to the left 4th peg from the bottom to the left 3rd peg from the bottom. I'm using 3 of the dark brown bands, coming down once. And do that again on the right hand side with 3 bands. And then coming down the remainder of the leg with just 2 of the dark brown bands. Now we can go ahead and add our arms and put those in place. So if you grab your arm pieces, now remember we have the patches on the back elbows, or the back portion below the elbow, so this needs to be facing down. So make sure when you place them on that they are not facing up. You want it to be solid red on this top part, otherwise his arms would be on backwards. And we're just going to place these on the 2 shoulder pegs, just like that. We can also go ahead and attach the shoes, and those are just placed down here on the bottom two pegs. And we're going to also place our crossover bands, so starting up in the face with a single skin tone colored band, we're going to create a triangle on the third peg down. And we're going to do that again here with the fourth peg. Moving into the body, the peg right below the shoulder pegs, go ahead and create one triangle with a single band, and you're going to come down 3 times with the red bands. And then moving down below that, taking a single brown, we're going to create with a triangle there as well. And we also need to put the eyes on. So to do that, I'm just going to take a single skin tone band and put my 2 beads side by side and pinch the band and feed that through my beads. And the eyes will be placed on the third peg down, straight across. Separate those 2 beads, and then going in between the band and pulling this up and over that center third peg, just like that. To create the nose, we're going to take a single skin tone band on our hook, and you're going to create 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And do that again. Single, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 more. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then taking a single skin tone band, we're going to double it, and we're going to pull all of these bands onto that single double. And reclaim the other side and pinch that together to create the nose. Then taking a single skin tone band, I'm going to pull that onto my single skin tone band, except I just lost. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so feeding this onto the single skin tone band, we're then placing this also on the third peg, coming straight across. Just like that, right below the eyes. Now that we can also take the hat and place that on the top. So taking the hat, if you look at the bottom, you have 3 sets of 2 bands, and we're just going to place 2 on the top peg of each row. Just like that. Now we can go ahead and start working into looping. Before we do that, let's go ahead and just create the belt so we don't forget to add the belts in later. Taking your gold band on your hook, create 3 loops. So you have 3 loops on the hook. Taking your 2 black bands and feed those into place. In the center, just like that. And then just set that aside so we don't forget to add that in. Now we're going to go in through the foot, grabbing those bottom 2 brown bands and bringing those forward. And I'm going to go ahead and just loop up 3 times. Don't forget here, the leg has 3 bands. I'm going to repeat that on the other side as well. Now that we've done that, we're going to go in grabbing the first 2 bands and bringing those over to the center. I'm going to do the same thing over here, grabbing these two and bringing them into the center. We can then go in through all of those bands, grabbing only these bottom two brown bands and bring that up. So you should not need a capping band here if you laid your bands exactly how I did here. And then we're just going to go ahead and loop up the center of the belly. We want to stop on this peg here. Don't go up into the neck yet. Now we're going to go back down, grabbing, and we're going to just loop up the two brown bands. And I'm going to repeat that on this right hand side. And now I'm going to attach my belt. So taking the belt, I'm going to put my hook through two of the loops here on the black. We're going to go in, grabbing the red, I'm going to pull that onto the red and then hook there. I then want to do the same thing here, so I'm going to go through the black, grabbing the other side, going through this peg over here, grabbing my two red, feeding the black in place, and then hooking it above. Now we can go ahead and just loop up on the side, so I'm going to go ahead and loop up the right side. Make sure when you're going through the arm, you go through all of those arm bands and grab only the bottom two red. And I'm going to do the same here on this left side. And then in the center, we want to grab those final two red bands. Now, the way that we're going to do this is we actually need to move this band out of the way, and we're going to loop up the back two and bring this one back down. So you want to go in through all of your red, grabbing only the first two bands, first two skin tone bands. And I'm going to bring those up. Then going back in, grabbing the next two. Mine go over to the right, and my last two are going to the left. We then want to push all of this down, and I'm going to unhook this band and bring it back down to the peg. Just re-wrap it around the peg. You then want to grab your beard, and again at the top we have 3 sets. So I'm placing 2 on the right, 2 on this center chin peg, and then the last 2 are going over to the left. Now I can go back through the beard, grabbing those 2 skin tone bands again, which if you laid them on the top, they should still be there. You should not have to go back through all of those red bands to bring this skin tone band up. I got 1. Okay, now we're going to go in. We can go ahead and loom up just the next 2 skin tone bands. Make sure when you loom these 2 here, your nose goes through the center. So when you pull this through, just grab the nose, pinch, and pull it back through the center. And I'm going to stop there. Going down in the right, we have a lot of bands to work with here, so you want to make sure you're only grabbing the bottom 2 here. So you're going through all of those bands, grabbing those bottom 2 and bringing them up, and repeating that again. You have a lot of bands here. Make sure you're hooking through them all, or you could lose an eye band, and then your eyes would just fall out of the character. So again, you're only grabbing those bottom 2 and bringing those up. And I'm going to repeat this on the left hand side. Now we want to grab the first 2 of the lighter brown and bringing those over to the center. I'm going to do the same thing on this side here. We can then go through all of these bands here, bringing the bottom 2 light brown straight up. I'm going to do that on this right side, bringing this one straight up and this one as well. We then want to grab 3 of our lighter brown bands, and we're going to start here on the left. I'm going to go through, grabbing that single band and creating my slip knot. I'm going to do that on the right as well. Now for the center, you want to go through all of the bands, grab that band and bring it through, slide it towards the top. Let go of the back of the band, just don't pull on this front one yet. Pull your hat up, and you should see some holes and gaps where you hooked that part of the hat. You want to actually go through there, grab your slip knot band, and bring it through. Then you can create the slip knot. Flip them over, pull back the hat again, and I'm just going to pull that slip knot back through the same hole so that it's behind the hat. Just like that. And once we've done this, he is now ready to be removed from the loom. And here he is. Push his eyes forward. Just pull his arms and legs out. You can fix the gold piece on his belt. Now it's for the hat. What we want to do at this point is we are going to flip him over. And you're going to take your hook. And first thing I want to do is feed these through. I don't want to just wrap them around. So I'm going to take my hook and go through this loop here, grab that band and pull it through the center. Like this. I'm going to do that again on here, on this side. So that they're back there. I am then going to take my hook through these two bands first on the outside. And then from underneath, I'm going to grab the middle band. So I'm essentially feeding these two outside slip knots in place, and then I'm going to pull. Now what I want to do is go from underneath, grab that slip knotted band and feed it through the bottom, and when you pull back it should close up the holes, because you would have had some big holes here. It's going to close those up when you pull back. And then you can slip through again just to tighten it up. Now for his eyes, we're just going to grab our Sharpie, which I'm on a roll because I have a Sharpie again. And I'm going to draw on my pupils. Now because he is Sneezy, you want to kind of simulate someone covering their nose to sneeze. So what I did to do that is I took a single skin tone band and I went to one of his fingers and I'm going to slip through that for all four capping bands, and I'm going to feed a band through there, and then I'm going to reclaim the other side and create a slip knot on his finger. I'm going to take a smaller hook. If you look at the top of the nose, there should be a hole where the nose was brought together. I'm going to go through the top, grabbing that band, pulling it up into place with his finger. And then to hide this, you can just wrap this around the nose like this. And it will bury up underneath the nose itself. And that gives him the effect of covering his nose. Or for some, I'm sure they're gonna think he's picking his nose. But it gives him a little bit of character to understand a little better which dwarf he is. So that is how you create Sneezy. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and go to the playlist. Check them out. I have multiple other dwarves, and I'm trying to finish them off. I think I only have maybe two more that I need to create, or it could be one more. No, two more. So I do hope that you like him, and have a good day, guys.